I'm presenting on the behalf of the buildingSMART Czech Republic chapter, which is legally represented by the Czech BIM Council, which is the non-profit association formed back in 2011. And this is our legal entity, which is the home of buildingSMART Czech Republic. The brief introduction of ourselves. This is our board and our director of operations, Ms. Libuše Kameničková. She is on the call. She will not be presenting today, but she has joined us. And from our board, it's myself as leader of the Czech chapter of the buildingSMART. And the presentation will be started by our chairman of the board, Mr. Peter Matyáš, who is also on the call. And in the beginning, I will ask him to give the first part, which will be mostly concerned with the history and the establishment or the path from 2011 to forming our chapter. And I will then follow with our activities in the buildingSMART area. So if the Peter is available now.
Yeah, hello to everyone. So as Leoš introduced me, I would like to tell you something about the history and story of CZBIM, how we work from 2011. Please, Leoš, could you give me another slide?
Sure.
Yeah, one more, please. Yeah, so as Leoš mentioned, we work since 2011, and since that time, we already organized over 60 major events, and we were participating on, let's say, more than 300 another events. We have 57 collective members, which are small and large Czech companies. And the membership in last 2-3 years is increasing, let's say 10 to 15% every year. We do a couple of our own projects, which are mostly connected with standardization and methodologies. Our major conference is always during the autumn. This year was, I think, or last year was 12th conference, which is called BIM Day. And we have a close cooperation with chambers of architects, engineers, and also with the Czech government and with the ministries. Please, next slide. And here you can see the list of our members. On the next slide, you will see the picture from our major conference. So usually take part something like 400, 500 experts. And we have also, let's say, workshops and stands and etc. So I would like to tell you something about the BIM in the Czech Republic. As we work from 2011, so in 2017, we were successful as a CZBIM because Czech government agreed to the government mandate. And the plan was that from 2022, BIM will be required in public procurement. The responsibility was put on Ministry of Industry and Czech Agency for Standardization. Now the date is postponed to year 23, but standardization is in the progress. We have a number of pilot projects, the public and private. We introduced as a CZBIM in 2018 the commercial data standard, which is used, and it's based on IFC, of course, and it's used now on both public and private projects. And we also prepared a project which is called Find CDE, and Leoš will talk more about it. And it helps to the market to choose the right CDE and be informed how it works. So, and of course, during this time, we faced a lot of problems, or we can call it challenges. One of them is that the Czech state and Czech Agency for Standardization, they tried to, let's say, use BIM as a tool to reform entire construction industry. And their standardization plan is too wide. They even started to think about new classification systems, etc. They rejected the commercial standard and they decided to work from the scratch on a new data standard. The other thing is that the Czech government, the former government, started to work on a new building law, new construction law. And these were the reason why we didn't fulfill the year 22, where the BIM should be required in the public tenders. And of course, this makes quite a big problem because there was a wasted expectation of the market, which is the worst, because everyone expected that from 22 there will be obligatory to use BIM in public tender. And now when you talk to any officials from the ministries, they say, okay, so now it's 23, but we will see. And the other thing, which I don't know if you have the same problems in your countries, is that it's very complicated to do pilot project under the Czech procurement system, because it's quite strict. And on the pilot project, you need to try new approaches, you need to test the methodologies, and it's difficult to do it under our procurement system. But from all of these problems and mistakes, we have learned, and now we can say that started very good cooperation between CZBIM and Czech Agency for Standardization. We transferred all rights to our commercial data standard to the Czech agency, and now we are working together on a data standard based on IFC. Together CZBIM and Czech Agency for Standardization and Chamber of the Architects and other organizations. And already there was published the parts for building permits. And I think this month should be published data standard for the working drawings. And also we are starting to verify the methodologies on private projects together with the state. And we have, of course, some topics which we have prepared for the next year.
Yeah.
And it's to continue with the standardization. Leos, please, next slide. We want to increase the level of knowledge, so we introduce the training program. And nowadays we are working on digital building approvals. We have a law which was done, of course, also in cooperation with CZBIM, and now we start to work on it. And also this year we will organize again the BIM Day conference. And because Czech Republic is the presidency of EU this year, so we were asked to organize the conference in November. And this is from me. And please, Leos, if you can continue.
Okay, thank you, Peter. I will focus mostly on the activities of the buildingSMART, which is hosted by the CZBIM. And I will start with just a brief history of how we started. As Peter mentioned, the CZBIM was founded back in 2011, so it has already 12 years of history. And for most of the time, it was fully open BIM focused, and we organized open BIM promotions since 2013. But it took some time to make the decision and find the motion within the member base to really form the chapter. And one of the reasons is, I don't know if it's similar in other countries, but the construction industry, unlike, for example, the IT or finance, is not so educated on English. So mostly, except for the foreign companies operating in our country, like contractors or design offices, but for most of the construction industry, English is not really well handled. So there was not so much interest to be part of the international community because the people could not really understand what was the content. So we decided this should be the vehicle, so that we established the chapter so that we can transfer the content to the Czech community and also try to contribute to the international community from what I will show some of the examples. So we soon after we had our new board elected, we started some discussion. Our board was elected back in 2019, so we will be having new elections just now coming up in October after 4 years period. So within this new board, we decided to go ahead, and we were able to get the members' approval. And we were in spring 2020, we contacted buildingSMART International, and in fall 2020 we submitted the application. And in March 2021, the contract was executed to establish our chapter as developing chapter. So, as I mentioned, we are one legal entity, and we represent buildingSMART. This is just some retrospective review of our business plan, which is to say that we fulfilled everything already, because we were able, since we had the mechanism in place, the marketing tools, the market recognition and connections with the official institutes and government bodies. So we were able to complete the implementation plan, and even we were able to move ahead of the plan, because in our business plan as a chapter, we mentioned, and it was approved, that we will be starting the professional certification program over in 2023. But the situation was that there was a huge interest within our members and non-members, the public, to really have available internationally recognized and driven training and certification programs. So soon after we formed the chapter last spring, we decided to go ahead with the professional certification. We announced the program locally, publicly back in September, and we took all the steps. So we have all the mandatory localizations, translation of the materials completed. We asked for interest of our members, but not only our members, also the wide public, to establish the training providers. And we received 13 applications of interest. 13 companies signed the NDAs, and it was just back few months ago in March. So based on that, we have companies preparing their training content, their curriculum, and we received the first application, which is complete. We are reviewing the content of the training course now within this and next week. So we should have the first official training, buildingSMART certification training provider later in June or in early July. They have their course ready, and they will start marketing it very soon. So we will have full implementation of the certification program in a few weeks, we hope. And this is just how the materials look in Czech. So it's just there are many more pages, but this is just to give you the feeling. And I will go to other initiatives, activities. So one of our keys we identified, and we move ahead on the rooms. So we nominated our experts from within our members for all rooms, buildingSMART rooms, and it's underway. We are establishing the parallel rooms, or the local groups of people who will be through the nominated people participating and be able to contribute and receive the information in our buildingSMART Czech Republic rooms. At this moment, we are just copying the structure. We don't have any special rooms as we speak, but of course, as we saw in some other chapters, they have some special focus on some local high priority. So we may decide to establish some special rooms within our structure. We provide information from the rooms to our members, and we also provide information about the progress for the Czech Agency for Standardization, which is our way how we can influence and contribute to the national strategy of BIM implementation in our country. I will now briefly mention that the SNIM project Peter mentioned, which was really one of our, let's say, flagships, where we were recognized by the SNIM, which is even in English, it makes sense. It was created as Czech abbreviation, but it's the standard for non-graphic model information. The rest is in Czech, but it's basically the approach to standardize the non-graphical, the attributes contained within the model in a structure which was created about 5 years ago. It was developed mostly by our members from large companies, from contractors, from design, from software companies, from architects. So there was some joint effort within these companies in the design and construction phases. And the standard was published 2 years ago in, let's say, 1.0 version, complete. It was published including its web interface, web page, where you can interactively browse the whole standard, select the features, select the details of the codes and of the standard. So as Peter mentioned, this was basis, and it was transferred, including the intellectual property rights, to the Czech Agency for Standardization, because they decided it was the best start how to complete the data standard they are preparing within the Czech strategy for BIM implementation. The next project Peter mentioned, and you can see the URL, and it takes you to the Czech side, but it's full in English. We decided to make this project available internationally. And the idea was, we received as our association a bunch of questions. Which CDE should we buy? What are the differences? What is the value? What are the prices? And because you are independent, you are Czech BIM Association, tell us. So we decided to make really a project out of the demand for the requirements from the market. We have a group of people within our members who took it seriously, and then they browsed the mostly present CDE solutions on the Czech market, and they created interactive tool, which allows you to, on the left side, which allows you to select from, I believe it's now 13 products from mostly international vendors, providers, including Trimble, Bentley, Autodesk, and so on. And for all of them, there was a detailed communication with the local resellers or distributors or representation of those companies. So this is not information out of web pages or from the marketing materials. There's a long list. It's a few hundred features which are detailed for the web version, from the desktop version, or whatever, and then you have basically showing which features are available in what version of the product, and it allows you to make the comparison of those products and see the results in this form of table. I can show interactively, but given the time, you can try it yourself, because it's available in English. And I will just put if I can do it now, I will just put the URL into the chat. cde.com, and here we go. So it's the second project. Unlike SNIM I mentioned, which is mostly driven by the Czech requirements for the data standard, and we transferred the IP rights to the Czech Standardization Agency. This is our project we would like to grow, continue, and which is something we would like to offer also to our community. So if in your countries are interested, maybe to add a local CDE system product, as we have also some local ones like the Proconom system developed here in the Czech Republic. So if you have this interest, we can just, and we don't know how to do it yet, but we would need to discuss it. Maybe we can discuss it in Zoom if you would be more interested. But we can make it, the template is ready, the procedure, the methodology is available. So it's just a matter of adding some other products to be included in the comparison. That's one way to keep it in English. The other way is, if anyone would be interested to localize it into your language, it is also possible, because we own the whole thing and the source code and the web pages. So we just don't have the business model yet, but we have something maybe someone could be interested in. So if I summarize, and this is just to say that we have many items in our business plan as chapter. We were building from our experience. We did many of those things already, so we were completing our vision. We were completing our activities, including the introduction of buildingSMART. We had the press conference. We had several conferences, seminars on, including the certification program. We have been recruiting new members, and I need to say it's helping us. It's helping us to get new members. Also, some existing members are asking if we are not focusing much on the international activity. So we need to keep the balance, because for some, they are not really looking for any international business or going to other markets. They are just focused on the Czech market, and for them it's sometimes hard to imagine if they should be investing, because they pay the fee, they pay the membership fee, so they would like to see the value, and they are asking, do we need to be so international? So we need to keep that balance between the focus on the local market requirements and of course the international cooperation. And some may say, yeah, that plays together. If you focus on international standards, you are helping your market, but not everyone sees it as clearly yet. And we have our domain register. We already own the domain of buildingSMART CZ. So we have the website, we have profiles on the social networks, and we just are through this part of our marketing plan also. And that's what we wanted to say today, that we started. We are not, let's say, the newborn or toddler in this age as buildingSMART, but we are already in elementary school as the association after 12 years of history. So we would like to use our resources and experience and reach to really help the Open BIM idea. And we mostly appreciate the opportunity to learn from the other chapters, like what we heard from Norway and from all the other presentations our colleagues are providing. So this is to summarize, and I don't know if we have some time, if anyone wants to ask, or if we are just on time, right? So I thank you everyone for the attention.